What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the NBA DFS podcast here for Monday's 8-game main slate. James, love the 8-gamers. We call it our wheelhouse for a reason. We got great player pool size here. We do have some injuries already out and reporting as well, which is always a plus to have that information out early. We know Damian Lillard's going to be out for at least 1 to 2 weeks. Mike Conley is going to be out for this slate. We know Jimmy Butler is going to be out for this slate already as well. Waiting, obviously, on some additional news. We don't know this full status yet of Paul George. We're assuming, or maybe we don't know, Klay Thompson, is he going to play in a back-to-back or not here? He's been sitting on recent back-to-backs. Obviously, the Warriors played yesterday. Waiting on the Tyler Hero news, waiting on the Wendell Carter Jr. news still. Zion is probable to play today. So still more news to come, but at least we have some of the bigger names that we know are out.
Yeah, some of the bigger names. I don't know if you mentioned Paul George, so that one in the mix.
Is he officially out yet? I know he
was.
No,
he's questionable. No, in this league questionable, but not great that he only played 15 minutes, and then at halftime with no injury update, they were just like, no, he's out.
Yeah, so, exactly.
That didn't sound great. So obviously trending towards maybe not playing, but can't assume anything. Orlando. If we head over to Vegas, Orlando, Indiana running it back, that was a very fun game the other day. 226.5 total there. If Wendell Carter sits, it's the exact same scenario we had the other day. Golden State, New Orleans is a slate high 233. Golden State getting 6 points.
Yeah, so I think that's an indication guys might be sitting.
True. Yep.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it. Kerr came out with a statement saying Klay is not going to play back-to-back, so he's all but out. We just have to get the official word, right? Before we can
Curry, the monster 70-point game again last night.
He is just...
Except for the one time I played him. Klay was out and Jordan Poole went for 50. So
yeah. Yeah, of course. New York, Oklahoma City, battle of 280 points earlier this year.
That was the random Knicks benching game, too. That was...
Knicks benching, 280 points, everything you could have loved and hated at the same time. Oklahoma City, this is how bad it is for the Knicks right now. Oklahoma City favorites. Yeah. I know they're home, but I don't think we typically see Oklahoma City favored against anybody very often. But Atlanta, Cleveland, 225.5. Those are the most notable game totals we have on the board. And the biggest spread right now, Portland without Dame Lillard, 10-point dogs in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that game opened at 7.5. It's up to 9.5. It may even be 10 by the time
I see 10. I see 10 on FanDuel.
Okay,
I see 10 on.
So I mean, again, people are not giving the Blazers here much of a chance against a healthy Milwaukee team. It's soon to be healthier. They sent Chris Middleton to the G League to get some run in there. So maybe by end of the week we can see Chris Middleton playing for the Milwaukee Bucks here. So, but that said, let's get into it here. If any news breaks while we're recording, we'll certainly have that for you guys. At the point guard position, Steph Curry, 10-6. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 10K. Your top two guys over $10,000 with Trae Young and Tyrese Haliburton are in that group as well. Curry, as I said, over 70 fantasy points now in 2 of the last 3 games. For him there. SGA had been balling, but did let us down most recently, but I'm expecting a bounce back. Are you running it back with Curry here? Are you aware at all with the back-to-back and the volume, or is he just the guy to go to here?
Not really all that worried. When you look at the back-to-back that he played recently, in just 27 minutes, he puts up 32 fantasy points. Looks like he was well on his way to either a double-double or a triple-double, seemingly every night at this point. The numbers have been absolutely insane, which is, once again, it's insane to think about. He's having, I don't know, how do these people keep getting better? He's shooting 45% from 3. It doesn't make sense. So I have no problem going to Curry here, best total on the board, fun game environment. I also have no problem going to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yes, he let us down. Hasn't really happened all that much. And the 3 games prior, 42, 37, 37 actual, 62, 59, 63 fantasy points. The guy has as much upside as anyone else in this slate. Yeah. We just mentioned that this game has already blown up once, and SGA had 37 in this matchup. And the Knicks are a absolute mess. They're talking about the coaching staff being
Yeah.
fired, they're benching players. They just don't look like a good team. The clip yesterday of a shot going up for Phoenix, and then not a single person guarding Mikal Bridges, and then not a single person going for the rebound after Mikal Bridges shot it. It's like, do they even care? I mean, we saw this from Julius Randle a lot outside of one contract year, right? And then Julius Randle gets a contract, and it's like, oh, he doesn't really care anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, just nothing seemingly going right. So I love SGA in this spot. Trae Young, obviously tournaments only. We saw.
Yeah, really tough matchup here, but a battle of like two really good backcourts, right?
Yeah.
You have DeJounte and Trae versus Mitchell and Garland here, so should be a fun one to watch, I think, for sure. Maybe a little contrarian for the DFS because of where all these guys are priced. But I mean, Garland's proving like he doesn't care if Donovan Mitchell's on the floor. He's out there giving you 50 plus fantasy points over the last handful of games. So, just some strong tier there. But I think if you're not playing Haliburton or SGA or Curry, you're probably looking a little bit more towards the mid tier here. Outside of just being contrarian on your tournament plays. Kyle Lowry is interesting depending on the situation there in Minnesota. If guys continue to be out, we already know that Butler is out. Gabe Vincent's been missing the last handful of games here. Tyler Hero is questionable. Really awful matchup again against Cleveland. I didn't recommend playing any of them in that game because it just wasn't a good spot, but Minnesota's not a good defensive team. So Lowry can certainly bounce back here. It's just, do you want to pay the 72 and Brunson's at 71? Clarkson with no Mike Conley is 64. Jalen Suggs is 63 in a really good spot. So it's all about your preference there of where you want to play. I wrote in the Discord today, I'm not in on Anthony Simons. Again, I know the usage rate is really great with Damian Lillard out of the lineup. We know he has a good ceiling. We've seen it. He just went for 54 fantasy points against Utah, but you got to understand the matchups here. Like Utah, not a great defensive backcourt rather. It's a low game total on the board. It's a nearly 10-point spread. Drew Holiday's a really good defender. If this game blows out, does he stay on the floor for 38 minutes still? There's a lot of questions I have here. It's just a tough spot for me. If you want to go Simons, you can. Again, contrarian play most likely, I think, because of everything. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think he'll be popular at 74, but just looking at the other matchups of guys priced in his range, I would just rather go in that direction because there are guys in the same spots with people missing out of the rotations, right? So the usage is going to go to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I largely agree. I definitely think he's in play in tournaments. It's one of those things like, it's on one hand, you're 100% right. If this game blows out, do we see Anthony Simons? If the game stays close, is it because Anthony Simons, right? It's like,
right.
You look at it from both sides. I think like if you're playing multiple lineups, I think we just saw it. There's 50 fantasy point upside without Damian Lillard on the floor. So tournaments only, but I think in play, not a core play, not like I'm building one lineup, I'm using Anthony Simons type play, but I do think there is merit to using him. But I do like Brunson's elite in this spot. Clarkson has a very nice ceiling floor combination with Mike Conley out. Yeah. And I mean, we're seeing it from Jalen Suggs. Like, these dudes are out, and Jalen Suggs is going nuts. Like, he had his worst shooting night, took the fewest amount of shots last time, and still puts up 35 fantasy points, another 5 rebounds, another 8 assists, 3 blocks. Like, he's just a very good fantasy point per minute guy. Wendell Carter Jr. didn't go through shoot-around this morning.
Right.
So, if there's no Wendell Carter Jr., we're going to see another heavy workload from Suggs. It's an elite spot. So I agree on everything you said, but it is worth mentioning that if you're a multi-lineup player, I would say getting Simons in one could be beneficial.
Sure.
Because again, if that same game stays close, Simons is likely going crazy. You probably have Giannis going crazy, Giannis potentially like on the other side of that game doing well. So I don't know. I think. I agree largely that the other guys are better options.
He's definitely a bucket, and 7,400 is a spot. Is a good price tag. Like I said, it's just not a good matchup. So but I agree. If you're in a 3 max, put him in one. If you're in a 20 max, throw him in a couple because if he goes for bingo and he is low rostered, then you're fine. If he's high rostered and you limit your exposure and he doesn't go off, then you're also fine. So kind of protect yourself there a little bit. But if I'm making one lineup today, I'm probably not including him in there. I'll go with the lower guys below him there. Value range, I guess, under $6,000. Tough to play the Boston guards when everybody's healthy again. White, Smart, and Brogdon are all going to be there. All of them have played great when one of them have been out, but it's now that they're all back, they're all a little bit too overpriced. Brogdon's probably the only one that isn't overpriced, but again, what can you trust on his production? 19, right. 14, 18 minutes the last 3 games after he was trending so well there for a bit, but then Derek White just started knocking down every shot he was taking, and they didn't have a reason to put him on the floor. So there's some risk there. I don't know, like where do you like at these value guard spots? I mean, I guess if Vincent plays, you'll play him at 46, right? They didn't really use Colin Sexton as much as I would have expected them to when Conley went out. He only played 20 minutes in that game, and I texted you after Conley got hurt. I was hoping it was Embiid Beasley that they put back in because I was kind of chasing the cash line on Saturday night. And they subbed in Talon Horton-Tucker, and Talon Horton-Tucker played 32 minutes. So, they used Clarkson as their guard. They used Talon Horton-Tucker as their shooting guard, basically, in that lineup. So Sexton only getting 20 minutes a run is a bit concerning with Conley missing the second half of that game there. So I don't know if we can trust that. I threw quickly in the playbook just because recent minutes for him have been good. He's just not hitting any shots. But against OKC, when they benched everybody, he went for 41. So he's a big GPP, just kind of dart throw guy if you're looking to stack that one. But I don't know, man. What are you looking at for guards here?
Yeah, so I definitely think Quickly's in play, and I agree everything you said about Utah as well. Very hard to trust, and Sexton's minutes have just been like a teeter-totter all year. They were really bad to start, then they were really good, and then they're just kind of back to like middling minutes. So tournaments only, Shaden Sharp, tournaments only. We don't know what his minutes are going to look like, but we saw him start a couple times earlier in the year when Dame was out. Nope. I guess I'm interested maybe in what the Clippers decide to do.
Back to back, right?
And no Paul George. So or potentially no Paul George. We know there's no Luke Kennard.
Do they play Leonard on a back to back?
So this is not a back to back.
Oh, okay.
They played Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the front end. So it could be the front end of a back-to-back. That's something we could check. But both John Wall and Reggie Jackson looked really good the other day, and I don't know if they're going to play them together. I doubt it.
I remember Wall had 10 first-quarter assists. Remember, I messaged you that. I was like, John Wall just have 10 first-quarter assists? Only played 24 minutes and went 2 of 8 shooting, but the 15 assists in that game against San Antonio is wild.
But Reggie Jackson has looked like a lot better, at least in the last 2 games. He scored 20 and 23 actual. 3 of the last 4, he scored 17 or more points. I mean, if you want to just keep going down the list, 5 of his last 7, he scored 14 or more actual points.
I wonder why he only played 20 minutes against Utah the last time they played. No foul trouble. He just played 20 minutes.
They just iced him. I don't know. What was John Wall's?
It was the front end of a back-to-back in that game as well.
John Wall in that game played 28 minutes.
28 minutes, yeah. And then John Wall did not play the second night of that back-to-back.
I'm looking to see if we have a back-to-back for the Clippers. We don't. Okay. So they're going to play what they're going to play. It's just interesting because I don't know if Paul George, if he were to be out, they're also missing Luke Kennard. So, would they decide to go Jackson off the ball and play John Wall on the ball together, or would they just continue to stagger them?
Feels like Man would start, right?
Feels like Man would start, but just rotationally, what would they do? Because Kawhi's still limited, so we're gonna see Norm split time there. Will Norm play some too? Will Red Jackson play off the ball? There's a lot of different things they could do, especially. Losing a player like Paul George, they're going to need him, an influx of production. So I don't know. I don't hate Reggie Jackson 5,100 based on current performances.
Shooting guard here. Again, if you want to play DeJounte or Donovan, you can. Tough spot for both, but just an interesting, probably a good matchup for a basketball fan. Maybe not so much for DFS. Jaylen Brown still in the 8K range. Again, use him if you want. He again gave us a ceiling performance against the Pelicans, 53 fantasy points. It's in his bag. We know it's in his bag. If you can pick the right day, more power to you. I still think he's a cash game option, but still, even at that price, I think you can do a little bit better. Ingram against Golden State, I like. You can use McCollum. I didn't mention him at point guard, but I think both of those guys are kind of interchangeable. Zion playing, maybe that takes a little bit away from them, but we're looking at a high scoring game. If Steph goes for 70 again, I mean, this is just going to be a big back and forth one for both of those guys there. Thoughts on like Anthony Edwards, Tyler Hero? If Hero's active, Edwards lately the way he's been playing, Franz Wagner with the likelihood of no Wendell Carter. Like thoughts on the 7K guards? Levine down to $7,000.
Yeah, I think Edwards and Hero both profiles tournament plays. I mean, Hero hasn't played since the 4th, so we'll see if there's any type of limitations being almost out for 3 weeks.
Sure.
And Edwards, it's just you just don't know. Like you think Anthony Edwards is in a good spot, but you don't know because he's like just such a wild card at all times.
Did just get Karis LeVert ruled out for today for Cleveland.
That's interesting. He hasn't been doing like literally anything in terms of like shots and he's just like not. He just I don't know. I think we like the spot, and then Donovan Mitchell showed up, and there's just not a spot for him on that team anymore.
Yep.
It is worth noting maybe for other pieces on that team, but I love Franz.
Tyler Hero officially out, getting a lot of injury news at the moment. Tyler Hero is officially out. Bam is questionable. Gabe Vincent's still questionable.
We could be looking at another weird situation for Miami.
Duncan Robinson out. So
it's going to be another weird one. Here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, this puts us into Anthony Edwards, liking Anthony Edwards, but who knows? They already have Jimmy Butler ruled out through today at the very least. I think his status is going to be determined after Monday. See where they go from here. But I think that really does put us on Anthony Edwards in tournaments. I love Franz. I like Franz even if Wendell Carter plays. I think there's obviously elite upside if Wendell Carter doesn't play.
Right.
And Levine, I mean, got benched in that game.
He did. He got benched, and he was very outspoken about it as well. So I feel like this is an opportunity. I mean, Zach, you went 1 for 14.
Yeah.
What do you want him to do? Put you on the floor in a close game when you're 1 for 14? You're a liability kind of out there. So I think it's a spot for him to kind of step up a little bit, but obviously a very tough spot. But against Boston, he had 33 fantasy points in that most recent meeting at 28 in the first one.
Yeah, I think this whole tier, other than Franz, is basically tournaments, right?
Yep.
It's just all tournaments. Franz, you could play all formats.
Sure. Buddy Hield, Max Struss, both of them are going to be in play. Jordan Poole definitely going to be in play at 5,800, assuming that, in fact, Klay Thompson does get ruled out, which we're expecting him to be ruled out of this one already. So good 6K range here. Hield's trailing off a little bit, but he goes through these spurts where you need him to give you the multiple rebounds, multiple assists for him to really get you the 40 points, or he has to go knock down 7 threes, take 20 shots. So, Miles Turner coming back, obviously taking some shots away from him, I think, as well. Could certainly be impacting Buddy Hield a little bit. So maybe a little bit out of our price range, especially when a lot of these guys have multi-position eligibility. We like Clarkson. We can play him at shooting guard. We don't have to play him. We like Struss. And now a shooting guard Max Struss, not a power forward Max Struss, so that's nice. Putting out as he plays. And then Jordan Poole will probably be pretty chalky at 58.
Agree on everything you said, especially the part about Hield. I don't think I can get there just with Tyrese Haliburton doing everything. And if it's not Haliburton, it's Miles Turner, like you mentioned. So, Strus 61 is going to be fine with everyone out again or seemingly out. Then everyone's going to go Jordan Poole. I mean, last start he scored 36 actual in 29 minutes. So.
Yep, he did, and that was a game that I used Steph, sadly. Jalen Williams has been playing really well. We've talked a lot about him during the year. He's been up and down, but in the starting lineup again and producing good shooters. But he's also giving you secondary stats, which I think is pretty important as well when you talk about fantasy value. Norm, as you mentioned as well, could be in line for a big spot here. If they end up having no Paul George tonight. Again, a good performance, 36 fantasy points. I think that's a season high for him. And then I think it's 5 of the last 6 games, or 4 of the last 6, he's giving you 20 plus fantasy points. So at $4,300 is a pretty interesting spot for him there. The only other guy I put in the playbook today down here was Quentin Grimes. Cam Reddish is questionable to play. He didn't play yesterday, and Grimes played 32 minutes and gave you a pretty good performance there against Phoenix. 30 fantasy points, 10, 5, 8, and 1. 4 for 10 shooting. Could have shot better, but encouraged by the fact that he was out there, filling up the stat sheet a little bit. Stone cold mint price. If he's in the starting lineup on a slate like this in a matchup against the Thunder at 3K, you're going to want to play him.
Yeah, we're just going to need to see his status too, because he recovered from the foot injury, hadn't played a lot before that game, so We'll see how he bounces back if the foot's bothering him at all. But I completely agree.
And I would play Reddish too if he's active.
Yep, and starting, sure. What was I gonna say? OKC dude is just like
no Poku, new Basley though, so like they're
okay. So hold the phone,
sure,
because Darius Basley was upgraded to questionable today.
Okay.
So is Trey Mann.
Right, I saw the man one. Yeah,
both were out. Both were out,
mm-hmm.
And Basley and Trey Mann now both upgraded to questionable, and we've seen this. They upgraded Giddey randomly.
And then they got fined for that, though. Remember, they got fined for the Giddey.
Well, they don't care. They do not care. They do not care. I don't know if that's going to impact Jalen Williams at all. He has been playing really well, and they drafted him in the first round, and he might just keep playing. I'm just saying, I am sick. The moral of the story is I'm just sick of the Thunder.
Basley, I wish Basley starts though for no Poku. He probably won't. They'll still do JRE still, but
he might not start the first half, but he might start the second half. There's always a second half with the Thunder. I do want to give a quick shout out to AJ Griffin of the Atlanta Hawks. 30 minutes last game, 8 for 15 shooting. He hit a game winner in that game, and DeAndre Hunter missed shoot around and is questionable. So maybe some AJ Griffin shooting guard, small forward eligible. Maybe he even finds himself in the starting lineup.
Sure, if he starts, I'll consider him. Tough spot again, just in general, but battling two useless monsters and DeJounte and Trey. Small forward position here. Tatum's at the top again. If you want to play him, you can. We know he's got it. What he can do. I think he went for 60 against the Bulls last time they faced. 66 the last time he played the Bulls in 40 minutes. So we know what he can do. If you want to pay it, go for it. Probably going to be low rostered here. Most will play Steph. So, can expect that there. Lauri Markkanen continues to be a menace. 42 fantasy points for him, 52 the game before that. Didn't have a great matchup against, or I lied, I thought he was a little bit weaker. 37 fantasy points against the Clippers in that last matchup. So certainly capable of being a strong, productive player there at $7,800 for him. I guess it's more so a preference of, with Edwards and Wagner also having small forward eligibility and being a bit cheaper if you wanted to go there. But, he's just been very consistent.
Yeah, I have no problem getting to Markkanen at all.
After that, where do you like? Caleb Martin at 54, probably?
Yeah, I can't really get to Wiggins. He's still too expensive. Barrett, Hart, or meh to me in the mid tier. RJ Barrett is.
Yeah, Hart's in the playbook just because it's position scarcity. I was looking around here, I'm like,
position stinks.
The position stinks. The only 6K guy I think could be useful potentially is Hart, because he can fill the stat sheet, right? Steals, three straight games of 2 or more. Rebounds, the rebounds are crazy for him. He just 6, 8, 11, 9, 7, 7, 6. He's just out there boarding, So, and there could be some more shot opportunities with Lillard off the floor. So, the only reason I threw Josh Hart in that spot.
Yeah, I don't hate him because you mentioned it. Lillard leaves that game, and he has 10 shots, which is the most he's had in a while. He's only taken 10 or 3 times this year, and twice it's been without Lillard. So I don't hate it. I also just looking at it, like you said, the position stinks. Caleb Barton is going to be in play. I don't think there is a very high ceiling at 54, but out of necessity, he might just play. He's going to play 40 minutes again, seemingly. All these guys are out. All his backups are out.
Oh, they're all out.
They're all out. So
he played 47 minutes against Washington and only managed 28 fantasy points. But again, They have nobody else to play the wing, so
They have nobody else.
$5,400. Beasley will be the chalk down here, though. He's shooting guard, small forward eligible, but it's $4,600 for him. He is not going to keep shooting like this. He's not going to go 10 of 18 and 10 of 17. He went back-to-back that performance. I don't imagine he'll come out and shoot 10 of 18 again, but while he's hot, right? Just ride him till he burns you, basically, at this point, right? Like,
it's possible he does. Like, people are streaky. If he just gets on a good run and continues it.
He did against Phoenix. Tough defense there. Clippers are not really a great defensive team, so he could keep it going. Pat Williams, you and I have generally talked a lot of Patrick Williams this year. Down in this price range, he's $4,100. 20 plus fantasy points in like 5 of the last 6 games.
Yeah.
Giving you 30 minutes almost a night. So I don't, not the worst spot, not a ton of upside, but there are worse places to go. Obviously, if the Miami guys come back, Highsmith and Kane and those guys, if they're starting or involved in the game, you're gonna take a peek at them. And then the only other one I was mentioning in the playbook was Talon Horton-Tucker, shooting guard, small forward. Again, he played 32 minutes rather, in that game against Portland. 21 fantasy points. The only other time he played over 28 minutes, it was against Houston, and 33 fantasy points. So basically, when he's getting 28 plus minutes, he's been giving you decent production. So
I'm so excited for Talon Horton-Tucker chalk night, dude. The last time
did you see the report this morning
minutes.
that said the Lakers turned down our first round pick from him?
I don't know if the Lakers have literally any idea what they're doing, and I'm shocked Rob Pelinka still has a job.
Yeah. They wouldn't trade him for Lowry, and then they wouldn't trade him for a first round pick. That's what the.
I will throw another honorary mention out there. In Justice Winslow,
sure.
We could see him start. I know Simons is there, but they could run like a Winslow Simons backcourt instead of, if they like Shaedon Sharpe just coming off the bench.
I agree. Power forward, you have Giannis again. If you want to go there, go for it. But I've been telling you, do not play him. And 52, 43, 41, 40 fantasy points the last 4 games is why I've been saying that. He's just not getting there. He's just not getting there at his price. It's just. Even the 63 fantasy points and 68 fantasy points he gave you here against Detroit and Minnesota, like fringe 5x. The upside is just not there. Towns at 89 is interesting, given who they're going to be throwing out there in their front court. He's coming off of a really tough game against Philly, but had really back-to-back good games against Orlando and Cleveland. So I don't mind that. Zion against Golden State. What do you think? Would you run him out there?
It's interesting. We like attacking Golden State front court. It's just so hard to get to 8,700. Like,
he hasn't played a bit too, so I wonder if there's any sort of
missed 3 straight games. I'll probably pass for as much as I like Zion. I'll probably pass here.
Right. Randall's the cover of the playbook today. Again, front court guys against the Thunder. Mitch Rob is back, but I don't think that's really going to impact Randall too much here. So I like him at 84. Grant with no Lillard, but it's a tough spot against Milwaukee. But I mean, we talk a lot about him. He tends to shoot a lot when Lillard's off the floor. So maybe for better or for worse, but he's going to have the Giannis matchup. So a little bit ugly. Bull at 69 will be chalky if there's no Wendell Carter today. For good reason. He went for 40 against the same spot against the Pacers the other day there. Anybody else below them? Again, I feel like on an 8-game slate, there are some strong positions, and then there are some kind of meh positions, right? Jalen Smith, maybe. Larry Nance, maybe. Anybody for you?
Maybe Vanderbilt gets extended with no Mike Conley. Like, maybe they just decide, we could play Clarkson at point guard, and maybe Vanderbilt plays a couple minutes. Both those other guys you just mentioned, Jalen Smith is fine. We mentioned Winslow. We mentioned Pat Williams.
Yep.
Jovic will probably start and play 30-plus minutes again. So if you want to go there, just 2 for 9 shooting. But
yes, I mean, again, he started next to Bam. So, that could even be a little bit better for him, truthfully.
Yeah. So maybe Jovic. But again, you mentioned it, he'll get Towns. So do we suspect he'll be in foul trouble? I don't know. But there's definitely a good chance. That could happen.
Yep, I agree with you. All right, let's finish this off at center. At the top there, Bam against Minnesota. I don't really want to go there against Gobert. I know no Bam, I know no Butler, no Hero. There'll be usage there for Bam, but it's not my favorite spot, especially when you have Turner's at 75. Vucevic I like at 74 against Boston. We talked about Bol. I actually think Capella and Allen are two kind of interesting guys. They're going to battle up against one another, but both should be on the floor. A lot of rebound, shot blocking opportunities for both of those guys there. We didn't mention Larry Nance, but I think he could be in play against Golden State because they kind of go smaller. Nance can kind of play against that. But Mo Bamba was like 44% rostered the other day. Yep. But when Carter comes out, big price bump for him, but still at 58, like I could see a lot of people just plugging him right back into their lineups.
I mean, Mo Bamba's been really good lately. Like on a fantasy point per minute basis, especially the minutes continue to go up, and so is the production. So if he's making shots, he's elite. He had nothing going early, and then he just dominated in terms of fantasy points. The only other name I would mention, other than the guys you mentioned, is Al Horford, just as like a safe, reliable,
in the playbook,
26 plus fantasy point guy that he's every single night with like nearly 40 fantasy point upside. So Kelly O's cheap. Kelly O's pretty cheap.
Yep, Kelly O's in there as well, just your dartboard center. If he gets hot from three, we know what his ceiling can be there as well. Can't really trust Mitchell Robinson, even though he played 17 minutes in his return and is a good spot against the Thunder. Just they're never going to give him the minutes we want him to. Nope. So, what was the other one? Oh yeah, I had Robinson Earl, but I guess we have to wait now and see on the Baisley news. Like he played 28 minutes against Memphis and gave you 29 fantasy points. So. Whenever this guy gets like near 30 minutes, he actually is productive.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he starts, I would, it's a dart throw play, but, he's paying off the price tag. If he gives it 30, almost 10x, right? So, it could be worth it there. All right, build our lineup. Who's our guy? Who's our number one?
Probably Mr. Curry, but I guess it depends what are your thoughts on Poole entering the lineup? Like we could fade Curry and play Poole and do like an SGA Haliburton or something along those lines.
I could do SGA Poole.
I feel like you could probably get all three of them.
Okay.
Right? SGA. You could probably get
SGA, Poole, Haliburton.
It was so funny that nobody played Haliburton the other day after the ankle, and like
we did. 50
I just
didn't.
I just don't understand. He's just so good.
All right, who are our value then? 5K a play. For where we're going out here. Let's see. Beasley, right? We're gonna run Beasley out there.
Yeah.
4-6. Yeah. Small forward. Jovic at power forward. Did you want to run that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, he's at 4K. Jovic, Patrick Williams.
Either one of those, either one or both.
Okay. Well,
because you can run one at the forward if you wanted.
Throw Jovic in there for now. Center position. Bamba at 58.
I don't know because Bamba's value at 58 is probably ugly if Carter plays, and obviously Carter not trending towards playing.
Well, I'll say if Carter doesn't play, you just pivot down to Horford for 100 cheaper.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so we'll throw Bamba in there. We have 52 for a forward and a util. Do you want to assume Talon Horton Tucker starts, or do you want to play Quentin Grimes?
Yeah, we could play Quentin Grimes
and just see what it looks like. We don't know what Reddish is going to be today. But if we go Grimes at forward, we have a $7,400 utility play, which is Vucevic, Simons,
Franz. If we're playing Bol, probably
run we don't have Bol in the lineup. We have Bamba.
Bamba. I mean, if we're running Bamba, we
could run Bol instead of Bamba if you wanted to.
Let's run Bol.
Safer option.
And that probably can actually get us like Suggs on at the.
Let's see, Bol. We have 6,300 exactly.
Suggs 63. Yep. Boom.
Yep, there it is. All right. So we got SGA. We have Poole, Beasley, Jovic, Bol, Haliburton, Grimes, and then Jalen Suggs. Of course, if Cam Reddish is back, we'll have to reevaluate. We probably go back down to Bamba and then go up Grimes to Reddish. Probably solves that problem for us there for salary. But that is an example of what we're looking at for tonight's slate. with the spend up of SGA. You could probably also go down Bol to Bamba and go up SGA to Curry if you wanted to, and fit that in there as well. Playbook's already out. For those of you who are listening and watching this video, you can go ahead and check that out now. We'll have the core plays out a little bit later in the day once the finalized injury news hits the board. But for now, James and I will be back for tomorrow. Catch you guys later.